All right. Good evening. Welcome to the Louder Than 11 headquarters at the Riverside here in Boulder, Colorado. My name is Brian Reynolds from climbingarc.com, and welcome to our show that currently has no name. I'm joined conveniently by Alex Johnson, who just got here, and Paul Robinson. We'll be talking to them in just a minute, but first let's talk a little bit about what this show is all about. So last week, Jordan Shipman from Louder Than 11 talked to me, mentioned how he wanted to do a live discussion show where prominent guests like Paul and Alex would come in and we could talk about climbing. So yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I was like, who are you going to get to host? And he's like, well, you. And I said, well, I don't know about that. But, you know, I like to talk about climbing as much as just about anybody, but doing it in front of camera, not so much. But we'll see how this goes. Jordan's pretty persistent. After a few beers, I was in. Here we are. So here's how things are going to go tonight. We're going to catch up with Paul and Alex a little bit. We're going to have some questions that people have sent in that we'll ask them. Got some news items we'll go over, and we'll see how things go. As things are going tonight, please ask some questions on YouTube, and we'll have Paul and Alex answer the best ones. So start off with our guest, Alex Johnson, 2-time World Cup gold medalist, 5-time national champion. Most importantly, she's from Wisconsin. That's a big win in my book. So Alex, this summer, you've been living in Boulder, traveled to China.
That's right, I did do that. I forgot about that.
And you competed in the Seco comp. What was China like while we were traveling out there?
China was cool. I've been to China a few times, and it's never like I'm never like, yeah, I get to go to China. Like,
I know you've had some horror stories in the past.
Yeah,
we won't
my
go into those.
suitcases never come home. It's like, hey, we want you to go to China, and I'm like, oh, okay, sure, I can go to China. But yeah, that's pretty much the only thing I've done all summer. I kind of took the spring off. I do that every year, spring and summer kind of off, and then like get ready for the fall season, because that's, I don't know, everyone's climbing kind of does this, and mine does it a lot. Like,
sure.
I'm either really, really psyched or I'm not psyched at all. So there's no, like, I can't ride it out. So I'm like just getting back into it kind of.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then so after you got back from China, you did the Seco comp in Salt Lake City about a month ago.
I was there.
How was that?
Most people probably wouldn't know that I was there because I only climbed once.
I feel like I saw you in the highlight video, which was just released about 2 hours ago.
Oh, nice.
Underwater swimming.
Yes.
Yeah, I got cut in the first round. It was awesome. It was fun. That was a really fun event. It was pretty spectator friendly. I think that could be like the way that events go in the future. I wish I'd gone higher.
Sure.
So then I could have.
Was it scary?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. It was scary.
Yeah.
I
It
was
looked terrifying.
really, really scared. I had nightmares the night before.
Really?
Had you
Yeah.
ever deep water soloed before?
No.
It seemed like a common thing. Most people hadn't done it before.
So like the night before, I missed the practice round because of scheduling. So the night before the actual competition round, or the second practice round or something, I ran into Carlo and he was like, yeah, like people are hitting the bottom and
Oh, God.
backsplatting. And I was like, oh my God. And that night I had nightmares all night long. It sucked.
Did you have any nasty falls or anything?
I mean, I only fell once.
Okay. That's usually a good sign in the comp, but.
And
Yeah.
it was totally fine. The water was a lot colder than I was expecting. So
Yeah.
I got in and was like you're trying to swim to the surface, and like swimming in climbing shoes is like, you're not going anywhere. So
Yeah.
it's all like, like hyperventilating and stuff.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Park City's at a higher elevation too, so it
I don't know
seemed
what
like
that
it was much colder up there than people were expecting.
Yeah.
All right, and as Alex tends to fritz, the wonder pup, our second guest is Paul Robinson. Paul has quite the resume of bouldering ascents and even a couple sport climbing ascents when he got confused there. Paul, you just got back from Australia and Fiji.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us a little bit about Australia. What were you doing down there? This is your first trip there, correct?
Yeah. This was my first trip down to Australia. I'd spent the past 4 years in South Africa, and I kind of felt like I needed to go somewhere new.
Mm-hmm.
And Australia, I'd heard so much about from friends and whatnot in the past that I knew I needed to make a trip. So I headed down there with really the main goal of trying to find new boulders in a new area.
Mm-hmm.
And the first couple of weeks of the trip, I just spent kind of getting used to the time zone, climbing established climbs and starting to search for a new zone. And fortunately, my friends and I, we found a really sick new area that just kind of blew our minds. You know, we found it and we just kept walking up this valley, and we were like, oh, there's a sick boulder, there's a sick boulder, there's a sick boulder, and none of it had been climbed on. And that really kind of became what I think we named it just like the Abyss. And it was just kind of like this deep valley that just had, like, you know, just so many boulders. And we spent the entire rest of the trip climbing, you know, basically from the bottom to the top. You know, we'd clean a boulder at the bottom, and then we'd climb it, and then we'd move to the next boulder, clean it, climb it. And it was perfect because, you know, it was kind of the three of us that were like really establishing the zone kind of had a range of difficulties for climbing. So I was looking for kind of the hardest lines, and then, you know, my other buddy was looking for slightly easier ones and whatnot. So like whenever we were cleaning boulders, there wasn't really like a competition for first ascents, really. So it really worked out that way. You know, we were cleaning each other's lines, and one person wanted to do one thing and then another wanted to do another. So it really kind of worked out, and we kind of played off each other's motivation, and just, you know, it turned to be a really cool zone. And I think, you know, in like the 3 weeks that we climbed out there, we established well over 50 boulder problems.
Oh, nice. And is it near the existing areas that are down there?
Yeah, basically it's just in the Victoria Range, just south of like the main Grampians bouldering sector.
Cool. And then you went to Fiji. It seems like there's a fascination with surfing that some of you guys have now. What's up with that?
So with going to South Africa for like years and years, a friend of mine really got me into surfing, and it's just been an addiction. Like with climbing, you know, it's kind of one of those sports that these like small progressions are kind of what we're all looking for. And with surfing, like I'm kind of getting bigger progressions, because with climbing, you know, I've been climbing at this level or close to this level and slowly progressing. And I think what really kind of got me motivated on surfing was the fact that I could just get better and better, and I could see the progression. And I love failure. I mean, anybody that loves climbing loves failure. So, and I think surfing is another sport that is very failure oriented.
Just small moments of fleeting
small
glory.
moments of success, and then like a lot of just pure hell, you know, whether it's paddling or just being just like thrown by waves and whatnot. So, I mean, you know, I was on my way home from Australia, and I was with a friend of mine who loves surfing, and there's a couple places in the Pacific Ocean that are just incredible for surfing. And we said, why not? You know, why not make a stop on the way home and surf for 2 weeks in one of the best locations in the world?
Sounds pretty exciting. All right, let's get into a few questions that we had sent in here from people throughout the day. And kind of on that topic of other activities that we start with is, what do you guys like to do for cross training when you're not climbing? You can't climb all the time. You need something else to do that, you know, keeps you fit, maybe helps you get better at climbing, maybe it doesn't have anything to do with climbing. Mm-hmm. What about you, Alex?
I just got into frisbee golf.
Nice.
I tried that for the first time last month as well.
I haven't tried it yet.
Angie Payne,
Okay.
who is not good at it, got me into frisbee golf.
Nice.
Sorry, Angie.
Are you any good at it?
Better than her?
Yeah.
Is that saying a lot or not really?
Yeah, I'm definitely better than Angie. No, I think I played an 18-hole course, and par was 3 on every hole, and I think my first time ever playing, I was like 8 or 9 over par, so not too bad.
That's solid.
Yeah.
Not bad. I've never played.
I'm not very good with the
fun.
frisbee.
No, me neither.
It's not good. Nobody wants to see that.
That's the same. It's like little baby steps of success.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
And
That's
you
cool.
can throw it really hard.
Yeah.
It's like
I feel like you throw a frisbee harder, it just like goes in like a complete
Exactly where you
opposite
don't
direction
want it to
where you
go.
want it to go. Yeah. But yeah, so I guess, you know, like surfing obviously for me is cross training, and I really like it too because it's such oppositional muscles. It's completely different back muscles, like completely different shoulder muscles, and it's a nice break because, you know, not only does it kind of like work the opposition, but it kind of gives your fingers and your hands like a real, you know, rest when you're surfing. And I've had days where I've surfed in the morning and then climbed in the afternoon, and there really is no, you know, you can easily do that, and you know, you'll be so tired from surfing, but you'll be able to climb perfectly fine.
It doesn't ruin your skin being in the water all day?
See, like everybody says that, but I mean,
Is that just a misconception?
Yeah, I think it is a misconception. You know, if I got out of the water and I was like, oh, here's a sick V14 crimper boulder. Yeah, I mean, of course you can't get out of the water and just like have crappy skin, you know. But if you wait 2 hours and let your skin go back to normal again, you're fine.
Sure.
I mean, I spent, I was in Fiji for 2 weeks and I didn't climb at all for 2 straight weeks, and I came back and my skin, it was fine. You know, I mean, it wasn't like perfect, but you know, for not climbing for 2 weeks and being in a tropical area, I think that kind of proves that it really does not affect the skin that much. And then in terms of other things, you know, just like campus boards and pull-ups and like push-ups, sit-ups, that type of stuff for actual like training for climbing.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions from people about training, what kind of things you guys do. I know, Alex, you've been training a lot at Movement lately with Chris Peters, right?
I actually have been climbing at the spot a lot.
Oh.
Yeah,
Solo.
so what have you been?
Solo.
Yeah.
So you and the pup?
And I'm doing some cross training at the spot and
Okay.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Any workouts in particular?
Weighted pull-ups.
On crimps
They
or
suck. No, like on a pull-up bar.
no? Okay. So you don't
Like-
want to injure the fingers.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never done weighted stuff. I've heard it's good, but I've always been like timid, you know? I mean, I've always been worried about kind of like adding weight and kind of the fear of injuring myself. But if it's on jugs, you know, I'm sure, you know, you're not going to injure yourself on
And
a
it's
jug.
not like 20. Like I'll add a lot of weight and then do like 4 pull-ups
Sure.
Oh, okay.
and then rest for like 5 minutes.
Like half your body weight type?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's a lot of weight.
I don't think I can stand up.
I know. I'm like, oh, man.
No, it's a lot harder. Like I'm definitely not as strong as I thought I was. Like I'm not doing a lot of
No, it's interesting.
can't pull.
Do you
a
feel
lot
like
of
it's
weight.
been working, though?
This is my second week, like really getting into it. I
Okay.
had a really good friend write me up a 9-week program, and it's a lot of like weighted pull-up stuff and finger stuff. And this is my second week, and I feel like really good.
And what do you think the potential benefits of weighted pull-ups are versus just doing more regular pull-ups?
That's a really hard question.
No,
So,
I'm interested. This is a question I'm very interested in.
I am not very strong.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get by on like finger strength, momentum, body movements, like tendons basically. So for me, like weighted pull-ups makes me stronger.
No, it makes
Like
sense.
I can pull more with one arm. Like I'm so weak, I can't do this with one arm and like reach something else. I have to
Sure.
like momentum my way up something. So like I've noticed since doing the weighted pull-ups, I can like yard on something.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're both pretty tall, and I feel like I can kind of get by just by, you know,
Like
momentum reaching
swinging up
things and,
there.
you know,
Yeah.
technique or whatever. But yeah, I do feel like even for me at my level, it's limiting, you know, how strong I am. That's kind of
Yeah.
what's holding me back. I'm able to get by
Weighted
Yeah.
pull-ups, dude.
on, I don't know
Yeah,
if that's
you
good
better
for you.
start.
Weighted
I
pull-ups.
think my arms might explode.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I get hurt a lot. That's kind of my deal. But I feel like
Nice.
Paul, other than your unfortunate incident in Switzerland a few years back, like you've been pretty healthy over the years. Alex, I don't
Yeah.
know about you.
I had like a weird finger thing last year in Vail, and I took 6 weeks off, and it's like, it's still there. It's like more annoying than it is painful.
Uh-huh.
And
In your
there's
pink here?
no, it was like it came
there.
down here and like
Mm.
went down my whole forearm. It kind of like twanged, like I bumped from a pocket out to a pocket, and then it was like plucking a guitar string. Kind of it was like ding.
Yeah,
That's
that
not good.
sucks.
So
I actually, same thing, like Vail, my first year. Fortunately, I like, healed pretty quickly, but like similar feeling. Like
Yeah.
it sucked. Like the whole down the forearm was just, yeah. The
And it's
2-finger
fine.
pockets, because like in a comp, like you try so hard
Sure.
that when they said a 2-finger pocket, like you're pulling on it so much more than you regularly would.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and I don't
God.
train 2-finger pockets
No.
because I'm scared of them.
yeah, exactly. I
I mean, it's hard to find them. Most gyms that I've been to don't set with pockets that much.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Oh yeah, I mean totally. I think it's okay if you set with a 2-finger pocket in a comp, but you know, really make sure that it's like really comfy. You know,
Sure.
something
Yeah.
that like
Usually
you can
pretty
really
big.
pull in all directions on, because you know, I mean, people are gonna try crazy beta. So
Do you guys feel like there's anything specific you've done over the years to avoid injury? Or are you just lucky?
I mean, I think I think luck
just
is a
lucky.
big thing. I think starting young is a big thing
Sure.
because that's kind
Yeah.
of like grown our tendons. A lot of people, they come up and they say, "I've been climbing for 8 months. What can I do to climb V12?" And I'm like, you just gotta wait. I mean, you have to like
Weighted
train.
pull-ups.
How old were you when you started climbing, Paul?
I was like 11 or 12.
And Alex, how old were you?
I was probably 9
Okay.
or 10.
Yeah. Yeah. I
pretty
mean,
young.
it's these
Which is-
small muscle fibers that
Sure.
are like building over time. And I think these small muscle fibers are really kind of what helps a lot of people that start at a young age from getting injured. And I think there's pluses and minuses to it too. You see younger people who are getting injured because I think they're training too hard at
Sure.
too young of an age.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I mean, when I was younger, probably first 3-4 years of my climbing, it was just pure fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, let's just go to the gym and mess around. I mean, I just would wear a blindfold and climb 5-6
Yeah.
or something.
Does it seem like it's too structured nowadays for kids versus back when you guys were starting?
Maybe
Yes.
not too structured. I think training young has a lot to do with it. Like, I didn't start training until like a year ago.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's probably why I didn't get injured until a year ago.
Yeah. Oh,
Sure.
no, I
Like-
mean, I agree
It's more
with
about
that.
finding that balance
Yeah.
between
I don't know
having
if
fun and
kids
trying.
Yeah.
Should be like campusing.
Sure.
Yeah. Or like weight vests or
Yeah.
like on the ground doing 50 push-ups.
But-
It's.
I didn't do it, so I don't know, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too. I didn't do it, so I don't know either. However, I think at a young age, enjoyment is really where children should be. I mean, I think the best climbers today all were at a young age enjoying the sport,
Sure.
not there because their parents were like, "Okay, I'm dropping you off, and you're training with blah 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 today."
Sure. Yeah, I guess there's a perception. Oh.
I have a question. Yeah, I'm gonna jump in for a second too. Is my mic even on? Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you.
You were talking about how when you started training young, or climbing young, like that gives you time for your muscle fibers to develop and to kind of grow into that. Like, I noticed as soon as I started climbing, the relationship between people who started climbing at a young age and how good they were to people who started later on in life. But then I also started taking notice of ape indexes. And there might be no foundation for this at all, but have you ever noticed that people who start climbing at a younger age, before puberty perhaps, tend to have larger ape indexes than people who start climbing on later than life? Because I feel like I played a lot of video games through puberty, and so I ended up with a small negative ape index. And I'm wondering if people who
feel like-
started climbing
Yeah.
before puberty, I don't know. Have you noticed anything like that, or am I just making that up?
I feel like
That could maybe we got stretched, but then
Yeah.
also maybe the ones who are just born with bigger ape indexes are naturally maybe better at climbing, and then it's more
Yeah.
fun when you're better.
More prone to it. I don't know if I'd agree with what Jordan said, but what I would agree with is that if you start climbing prior to going through puberty, your muscles are, your muscles are seeing this constant okay, I need to do this every single day. So they're kind of growing for that. And when you do go through puberty, they continue to grow for that. And I think the muscle groups that aren't being used as much aren't developing as much. So I think, starting prior to puberty is a big help. Not training or whatever, but just climbing and realize, having your body realize that these are muscle groups that are going to be used throughout one's life. I mean, I don't know if you'd agree with that or.
I just feel like I wish I would have started climbing sooner. That's it's my regret in life. But
I've heard a lot of people say that.
Yeah.
yeah, I started when I was 16, so it's not like I started when I was
Yeah. That's
30.
not,
So
yeah.
maybe I just wish I would have gotten more done in the last 15
Mhm.
years. Than
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But who doesn't? All right, some more questions here. Let's see. Question about Yosemite bouldering. I know, Alex, you've been there at least once. Paula, you've never been there, and that's
Nope.
the question is why have so few of the top boulderers not spend very much time in Yosemite?
I think I sent this question in.
Did you?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
No, but I
It's-
seriously ask this
I
all
think
the
this-
time.
I know so many people ask me that.
It's one of the best,
amazing.
coolest places on earth just to go.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and it's probably in my top 3 favorite places to climb in the
Wow.
world. It's so fun, and there's one V13,
Yeah.
and there's so much potential for hard stuff, and the rock is so much better than the rock here.
Yeah. There's so much rock.
And what
Most
about
of
the season? Is the season long?
I mean, it depends how picky you are.
It
Yeah.
you can go
Yeah.
from like late September, it's pretty warm, but like October to April pretty much, and then like deal with a little bit of wetness and snow in like December, January.
I know. I don't know. I don't know what it is
Does
either.
any- like Chris Sharma's been there,
Yeah.
15 years ago or something. And Daniel's been there. Daniel Wood's been there once maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he was living in San Francisco for like a little bit. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably the only reason he went.
I don't
you
know if it's because it's kind of like a pain to stay there for long periods of time.
I mean,
don't-
it kind of definitely
it's
is
kinda-
a pain to stay
you know,
there.
it's-
Like you can camp in Camp 4, but who wants to sleep in a tent? Or you can like
It's expensive.
pay
It can be expensive.
$20 a night to like
Yeah.
sleep in your camper
Yeah.
or something.
But it seems like there's just so much rock there. Most of the development really is so close to the road.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
yeah. There's no hiking and the rock is so good.
Yeah.
Not hiking
So
10 miles a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. So yeah,
Damn, I don't know.
That's a good question. There's no good answer.
Well, there is no good answer.
What are you
I
doing this
have
fall,
no
Paul?
idea. Going to Rumney.
That's the wrong direction.
The wrong direction.
All right, let's see what other kinds of questions we have here. A couple questions about like videos, climbing videos. What are you guys' thoughts about how videos nowadays really popularize areas, how they make it easier for people to repeat problems? Is that, can you not flash a problem because you've seen it on video, or, those sorts of things?
No.
That's not really.
That's dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it has made climbing boulder problems easier, and I mean, I do it all the time. I think all of us do it. If a boulder problem has been done or has a first ascent, or you want to go do the second, or whatever it may be, of course, if there's a video out there, I mean, I'm definitely going to
Sure.
watch it, and
For
you get
sure.
motivation by watching it, and then you get the beta, and I mean, the goal for anybody is to do a climb as quickly as you possibly can.
Sure.
And I definitely would say that it probably has led to downgrades of certain boulders,
Sure.
just for that pure aspect of just the accessibility of it is so much easier.
Sure. Just much less unknown.
Yeah, and especially like if it's an area you've never been to and a problem you've never seen before, like it kind of helps locating the climb too. Like
Sure.
I've looked stuff up before and been like, what does this even look like? Like what am I looking for?
Oh, yeah.
Like, wandering through the woods with my guidebook, like
Yeah.
I don't know
Oh,
what I'm looking
definitely.
for.
I mean, I've seen boulder problems in videos, and then there would be like a little like landscape, and I'd be like, okay, well, I can kind of see this, and then I'll like align myself, and I'll be like, oh, okay, now there's the boulder.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fun when you feel like you've been to the problem before.
Yeah.
With some of these famous problems that you go and then you get to actually climb it. It's kind of cool to
Oh, definitely.
have the familiarity almost when you go to see it.
And I think it gets you really motivated. I think
Oh,
seeing like
definitely.
a really cool video of a cool climb and or climbs in a beautiful area, you're like, oh, I want to go there and I want to do that and that and that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like anything's lost with the discovery process of how to figure out the moves and that sort of thing?
It depends. I think even though you've seen it done, you still have to learn. Your body has to learn, like
Yeah.
muscle memory, kind of
Yeah.
how to do it.
Well, because I know for me, pretty much every problem looks easier or route looks much easier on film than it is in person usually. So you kind of get this false sense of, well, that doesn't look too bad. Because most of the time you don't know who's the person climbing the videos. You don't know if they worked on it for a month, if they climb V13 or something. So you just kind of like, well, that doesn't look too bad, and you don't see all the times where they didn't do it.
Oh
So-
yeah, no, definitely. I think it's made me motivated to try and do boulders quick. I see video and I'm like, oh, it'd be cool to try and give this thing a flash effort or something like that. But I think it's also made me more interested in kind of going out and exploring too, and
Sure.
trying. I mean, that's my favorite aspect of climbing is just brushing up a boulder, and you brush up maybe 10 other holds that have no relevance within the climb, and then you realize that later on, but in the beginning you're like, well, where do I even go?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, watching videos can kind of give you tunnel vision when you go to try the problem. You sort of just feel like you have to, well, here's the beta for how you do these moves, and you just kind of like, I'm going to try and do it this way, but a lot of times there's just different ways for everybody to
absolutely.
do something, and you may find an easier way, it may be harder, but everything kind of different for every person.
Oh, I completely agree with that. I mean, yeah, I've been in complete tunnel vision before, like trying a boulder one certain way, and then realizing, oh, I could have done this differently from the beginning. And if I hadn't even seen the video,
Sometimes it kind of
then I
backfires.
probably
Yeah.
would have just realized that. Yeah. So I mean, in some ways, it does. You know, you will have negative effects of seeing a video.
Yeah. All right, let's see. What other kind of questions do we have here? A couple questions about the always controversial uncut footage. Do you guys, that's something that you guys, I know because Paul, you've made a lot of media.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, you've kind of been getting into it lately.
Just starting.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you get a camera?
Yeah.
Nice.
Like a year ago.
Oh, nice.
Is that something you guys
Haven't
really?
you seen Two Girls, One Pup?
I don't know if I have.
Paul,
What do you climb in it?
get an
It's in
internet
Red
connection.
Rocks. Two Girls, One Pup.
I'm sure I've seen
You can
it.
Google
I
it,
don't
but just
know.
be careful.
Yeah. Pup with a P.
Yeah.
We'll Google it
Where
for
can
you.
where can people watch that video, Alex?
It's on Vimeo.
Nice.
That was my debut.
Nice.
That's a good one.
I don't know. That's such a hard topic, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for that.
I don't know.
Either way.
It makes climbing so much less like,
Pretty.
yeah.
Because it's like one shot from far away, usually of someone's back or butt.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, when you cut and paste it together, sure, maybe you didn't do the boulder and you're like cheating and just putting the moves together, but I think that's pretty rare. And
Yeah.
I don't think that.
I
don't
like
think that
to
happens a lot.
believe if someone says they did something, then they did it.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
And like cutting the footage together makes it look really cool, and you can show different angles of the climb and
Yeah.
different holds and like how you do the moves and stuff. And like I think in most cases, like whatever, uncut footage, garbage.
Yeah. I mean, I love, for me,
Do you feel like it's just like something constructed by people on the internet to talk about?
yeah. I mean, I agree. Well, I like the concept of having it. You know, I film nearly 95% of the things I do.
And then go back and get angles.
Yeah, you know, and it's nice to have it. You know, I have like a nice little catalog of just a lot of my ascents, and
That's cool.
You know, for me when I edit a video, I like to show the climb. You know, I like to have cuts and whatnot so that people can really get an idea of like close-ups on holds or see how bad the feet are or whatnot. But for me, you know, to have uncut footage, because I know exactly how, that crimp felt on whatever boulder problem it
Sure.
is. Yeah, I mean, I like to have the catalog and I like to have the footage, but I don't know. It kind of I think it's getting less just like, I need to see uncut footage of this, and this. But a couple years ago, I mean, it would kind of almost like peeved me almost. It made climbing so much less fun. You know, it wasn't about the enjoyment of sending something. It was like,
like,
let
prove
me
that you
just
sent it.
prove this to you.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
like, if someone's like, you didn't do it, and I'll be like, here's my iPhone. Like, here's this uncut footage, you know? It's just stupid.
Yeah, I mean, with cameras everywhere now, it's like
Yeah.
everybody just
Mm-hmm.
you can film anything you want, but whether or not you have to is sort of
Yeah,
Different.
whether or not you have to. I mean, that's a
And
tough
I think
question.
most people film stuff for fun now anyways.
Mhm.
Like I love it. I think it's so fun. And the easiest way for me to do it is to like set the camera up at a distance and get the back angle, do the whole boulder, and then after the boulder's done, that's when you start doing moves and cuts and stuff.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, not 100% of the time when there's these close-ups and that you're watching, and whatever movie you're watching, it's not from the actual send. It's just
Yeah.
it's from after the person sends it, and then they get the nice close-up. And
Do you feel like that's been a misconception over the years, that most of these climbing videos are basically reenactments of people climbing things with some exceptions?
yeah, I mean,
But I think most people just assume that
there's always
everything they're
a
seeing
section.
is like the send.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure in all the climbing videos that you're watching, a section of the film is the send. You know, they're always going to be cutting back and forth to a send clip or whatnot. But a good percentage of what you're watching is going to be a reenactment.
I actually heard that Alex Honnold's Alone on the Wall was shot with a green screen.
What?
Just kidding.
Really?
That's amazing.
Just kidding.
I love that though.
I think that's true. Actually, I heard that as well.
Let's spread
I
that
mean, we did
rumor.
it when we landed on the moon, right?
I have to say that I think the whole uncut footage sentiment is usually put out there by people who just don't know how to edit.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I had to give my 2 cents
Uncut
because
footage,
it drives me
Because I
crazy.
can't make it look any nicer.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where I live when it comes to editing videos. And also because I usually
Bummer.
can't do the moves again, so it's hard to get more angles when
Yeah.
I knew
Oh
the
no,
problem was.
totally.
All right, we got some questions coming in on the old YouTube here. Interesting one here about grade plateaus. Have you guys ever kind of had to experience it on your way up through the grades where you got to, V5 or V8 where you just couldn't get past it for a while?
I don't know. I'm kind of plateaued right now. I've been plateaued for the last 2 years. I don't know.
I mean, I feel like I've been plateaued for the last 10 years. So.
Yeah. No,
I don't know.
I've definitely had plateaus, but I think if we continue to climb and we continue to train and not be injured, maybe we're not noticing that we're getting stronger, but I think we are getting stronger over time, and for me, being where I am in bouldering,
Sure.
there's hard boulder problems out there, and I've climbed my first V15 or whatever X amount of years ago. So someone could say, yes, Paul is on a plateau.
Sure.
I haven't climbed V16 yet. Maybe it doesn't exist at this point. Whatever it may be.
Sure.
But I think that I am getting stronger, and I think climbing is all about these small progressions, these small amounts of success, and a lot of people are like, oh, I haven't sent a V7 yet. But I'm like, well, take a step back, have you done all the moves on that V7? Are some of the moves that you're trying on the V7 feeling easier? So when I'm working a project and I feel like, oh man, I'm not succeeding, I'm not climbing this thing, I have to think back, oh, maybe those first two moves that I was struggling with are now feeling easier. So that's one small success, or maybe this move that's been stopping me for days and days and days, I've kind of almost stuck now. And I'm like, okay, there's another small success. And that kind of builds on top of itself. So I don't like to think of it as a plateau. I like
Sure.
to think of it as it's small steps, and you kind of can't really, if I think back to when I started climbing and I was climbing V0 to when I'm climbing V15, I can't really I couldn't show someone, oh, this is when I could climb a V7, It
wasn't just
Yeah.
It wasn't any one moment.
I didn't wake up in the morning and say, oh, now I'm climbing V12,
Yeah.
Sure.
It was, you don't really notice that sort of progression. You just have to kind of just keep climbing and keep seeing those small successes and build off of those.
And find things that are your style. Figure out what your style is, and if your ultimate goal is to climb V10, find one that fits your style. Go for it.
Yeah, and then definitely. Let's say there's a V16 out there that's gonna perfectly fit my style. Okay, maybe there's a chance that I could do that, and then maybe there's a V16 that is like the island, and
Sure.
I can't do that. So there's gonna be no way. So you have to get yourself into a grade range. Find a V10, find a V8 that fits your style. Climb that V8. Climb more V8s that fit that style,
Sure.
whether it's crimpers and small moves or whatever it may be, and then kind of build that pyramid so that all of a sudden you're like, oh wow, I can climb a crimper V8, I can climb a roof V8 on slopers,
Yeah.
And a lot of people these days they think, oh, I climbed a V8, now I need to find a V9. And
Yep.
that is the worst way to go about climbing, because all of a sudden, I like to think of a very well-balanced climber has a pyramid that really doesn't even come to a T. It doesn't come to a point at the top,
Sure.
A very well-balanced climber has almost, I guess the most well-balanced climber would be just a square, where you're just as confident on sloper boulders as you are on crimper boulders.
Sure.
So,
Well, I think your position is kind of unique. Most people don't run out of problems to try up to the top of the grading scale.
Yeah, you're stuck at V15.
Yeah.
Bummer.
but I think there's something, if you're stuck at V8 or V10 or V5 or whatever, I feel like it's important to keep in mind that grades aren't very accurate to start with. So,
definitely.
Yeah.
your
And
example where
completely.
you climb one V5, so then you want to do a V6. Well, some V6s might actually feel easier than a
Yeah.
certain V5 or.
And some V4s might feel harder.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's V1s in Yosemite that I can't do.
Oh, I'm sure
So-
I probably would struggle, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
and that's the thing is, you know, not looking at the grade so much. I think that
Yeah.
really takes
More the line.
Mm-hmm.
Something that inspires you. Like
Yeah.
if it's, I don't know, that's something that I feel really strongly about, like not chasing grades. Like I went to Yosemite, I was in Yosemite Bishop area for like 2 months, and I think the hardest thing I did there was like V10, but I did like
Yeah.
30 problems,
Oh, it's sick,
V7 to
though. Yeah.
V10, and like it was amazing.
Yeah.
Everything I did was so good, and I didn't do like, wasn't like, oh, like I did a V12 in the valley. It was like, oh, I did like 30 amazing V9s in the valley. Like it was sick.
Oh, I mean, that's how I felt in Font too, you know. I mean, fortunately, I did climb a decent amount of hard boulders, but I feel like I really learned to climb there. Before I went to Font, I could climb, but climbing in Font was the best learning experience I've ever had.
Sure.
You know, whether it
So
was
nervous.
like 7A.
So nervous.
Oh, you're
I'm
gonna
going to
love it.
November. I'm so nervous.
Yeah, I mean, like climbing 7A in Font was like one of the coolest things. I was just like, you know, you're like, wow, like this is historical. I climbed the first 6A in the entire world, and my friend that was there was like, I can't believe you flashed that. I mean that.
And how hard is that in
Like-
on the V scale?
V-
It's like
Five?
no, it's
No,
like
it's like
V2.
6A.
Yeah.
V2.
Yeah.
You know, and he was, you know, this is a friend that's climbed the island, you know, this is
Yeah.
a friend that is extremely strong and like has climbed with me countless times and was so impressed that I flashed a 6A.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, it's the birthplace of like learning how to climb. And when you go there, you really realize that grades just don't matter. It's just the climb, you know? And another thing that I've kind of been realizing over the past couple years is I was so obsessed with kind of like, oh, I want to establish a V15, I want to establish V16, whatever it was. And now I love establishing like boulder problems of my utmost ability. But at the same time, if I find like a V11 or V10 or whatever out there that is just stunning, I'm going to be just as psyched to put my name on the first ascent of that as I would be something that's extremely difficult.
And that would probably get more ascents.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I can't remember who I was talking to the other day about it. I was like, I love putting up V9 to V11 because then it's actually going to see some ascents. I put up, you know, AP plus 8C, and it's like, well, I know Daniel and
Daniel
Dave are
did
going to
it.
go do it, and that's basically it. You know, I mean, there's a couple other people, you know, Nale and whatnot.
Yeah.
But like, I love when people climb on boulder problems that I've put up, and that's like, that makes me like so happy to see.
Sure. If you could do more problems like resonated around
Yeah.
Boulder, that'd be great for me.
Oh, exactly. You know, I mean, like that's just so cool that people like are, you know, psyched and going out and climbing on these things.
Yeah.
Like you got to go try the honey milker. That thing's super fun.
Soon. Once it's not 90.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about a few news items that have been going on lately. One of the big trends lately is youth climbing. Got a lot of news from kids climbing out, not just inside but outside climbing. Kids like Cameron Hurst, Ashima, Mirko Caballero. I think Ashima and Mirko both climbed 14B this summer. Cameron climbed, I think, 3 14As. Then you had Mirko and Ashima climbing V13 in Switzerland, and Ashima climbing the Automator here in Colorado. Just in general, what do you guys think about the kind of, you know, reporting on kids' ascents? Does it put pressure on them? Is it too much of their parents getting involved? What do you guys think about
I think
youth
this is a dangerous
climbing
topic.
news?
Dangerous topic.
Yeah,
For who?
for me.
Because you guys have both climbed with Ashima.
Oh no, definitely.
On occasion.
Definitely. I think it is putting pressure on the kids. I think that is a negative aspect. I love seeing these kids climbing really well. It's really great to see. I don't like how the news is like, oh, is blah 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 going to be the next Chris Sharma?
Sure.
Whatever that may be. That aspect I don't like. You know, I don't like. You know, I think kids need to climb for fun, like I was saying before, and I love it when kids are out there climbing for fun. But when kids are out there and their parents are, you know, watching them like hawks and they're crying, that's not what I like to see at all.
What kind of sense do you guys get climbing with Ashima? Did she seem like she's just out there having fun? I mean, I saw her climbing yesterday. She seemed like she was having fun.
Where did you go yesterday?
She lower chaos when Paul
nice.
Paul ditched her on his way to
Typical.
upper chaos. So
I know. I heard you took her to upper her first day in Colorado.
Dude, she killed it.
yeah, kids
Did
don't.
she carry crash pad?
No. No, she did not.
Can she carry a crash pad? Do they make
a little
kid
one?
size?
A little one.
No, she's killing the hike. It's impressive.
Upper.
I'd say it depends. She's an incredible climber. One of the world's best female climbers. One of the world's best climbers.
Yeah.
And I'd say it's very tough to say. I don't want to really go into too much, but
Sure.
It's a dangerous topic.
It is a dangerous topic, And
Well, it's one that's been getting a lot of attention, though. I
Yeah.
mean, all the biggest news sites post that, to me,
and
more than
neither
they
of us
should.
have the balls to really dive
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah, I mean,
It makes me
I think there's positive aspects to her climbing, and I think that there are also exterior negative aspects to her
Sure.
climbing.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, it's definitely a tough topic. I mean, people get pretty worked up about it. It kind of makes me uncomfortable in some sense because there's still kids,
Yeah.
and how.
Yeah.
I think that's forgotten a lot.
I
Yeah.
think about when I was 12, and it was like,
Because I mean,
that's
you
crazy.
guys are both very prominent climbers now, but how old were you when you got, famous, quote unquote? I mean,
I was probably 9. It was probably the year I started.
I mean, you've been famous in Wisconsin since.
Jeez, I have no
for
idea.
quite a long
Since
time,
I was
but-
9. That's a hard question too.
But probably more when you were teenagers.
Oh yeah,
I
I
would
mean,
think.
I think right when I moved to
18,
Colorado,
19.
Yeah.
18, 19, is kind of like when I first really started doing well in competitions, and I'd say that for our generation, I'd say probably Daniel is maybe the first person that really kind of made a prominent name for
Sure.
himself, and that was probably even at 16.
He's probably, I think he was 14 when he did his first V14, so that was probably.
Yeah,
Right.
something like that.
Probably.
14, 15,
Yeah.
15 years old. But so like
That's different than 12 and.
11,
10,
9,
8, yeah.
And I think you view it differently. I don't know how to explain that, but you're 10, 11. You're like
Yeah,
a
how do
kid.
you
when you're like
perceive that?
16,
Yeah.
You
A little more
you view it differently.
with it, yeah.
Yeah, I really wonder how kids perceive like being in like on a news site, I mean, it's very strange, I mean, I can understand it being 25, it's, or whatever. It's like, I understand the news and I understand how that works, but a child doesn't even understand how like the New York Times works, I mean,
Sure.
that's like the most widespread news source in the world,
Sure.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think this definitely gonna be a kind of a developing topic over the next few years because it seems like it's getting. I mean, I think back in the day, Tori Allen got a lot of press for a little while, and that kind of, I don't know if it didn't work so well back then. I mean, most of
I don't
the
know if it
kids
was the
that are
press
in this
that didn't
position
work.
tend to burn out, and you don't hear from them for a while because
Yeah.
for a variety of factors.
And I think it's pressure put on themselves by themselves and by exterior factors. And I think
Yeah.
Tori and Katie Brown probably both
Sure.
experienced the same thing, like just pressure.
Yeah.
And then-
And now it's just at a larger scale because
Yeah.
climbing's getting bigger and there's more kids that are
Yeah.
climbing, at this high level.
Yeah, it kind of sets up this whole different thing where before, youth climbers would look up to adult climbers. Now they can look up to even climbers that are younger than them almost.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of cases, which is
Oh yeah, which is crazy.
because it's kind of it's sort of strange that there seems to be there's kids up to like 12 or 13 that are making all this news, and then there's a gap.
And there's a gap.
There's
Mhm.
nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
After that,
I
basically.
didn't really think about that before, but
That's something
yeah,
I've
from
been
like
thinking.
13 to like 20.
Yeah.
Well, because I've been thinking about a lot. I think you and Daniel and like Ty Lamon, when you guys were out here, you guys made a lot of news when you guys were 18 to 20 years
Mhm.
old. But I don't feel like there's been anybody in the last 5 years that's
And
under.
maybe we might have skipped
20.
a generation.
Michael O'Rourke is definitely coming into his own
Yeah,
since
but
he
then
moved out
look
here.
at Dave and Chris. I mean, look at that age gap too. It's basically the same.
Yeah.
Almost. I mean, it's
Yeah, because they're just
Mhm.
over 30.
yeah.
You just turned 26.
That's true. I'm not 25 anymore.
Yeah.
I forgot.
So yeah, there's something I think about a lot is kind of
Whoa.
who's next,
Mm-hmm.
who's going to be, the next. It's cliche to be like who's the next Chris Sharma because it's like that in all sports where it doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
It's more something that media people kind of try to come up with and construct these
Mm-hmm.
ideas, but sort of try to think about like who's going to be the next climber that comes up and develops a new area or
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
And I think that aspect of climbing is, I feel like it's almost been like lost in translation almost, you know? I mean, there's been no push to like be like, hey, you know, this is really cool to go establish stuff. And if it weren't for these people like Dave and Chris establishing these things, you wouldn't have anything to climb on.
Yeah. Do you think
know?
it's a focus on competitions? Because I feel like going to ABS Nationals and SCS Nationals this year, well, I guess I only went to ABS, but there are a ton of kids that are just incredible climbers, but you don't hear about them climbing outside for whatever reason. Maybe they just aren't into keeping a high profile, or they just aren't climbing that hard.
I think maybe they think that that's where you make your name. And in Europe, that would definitely be the case.
Sure.
But I think in America, we're more outdoor based.
Yeah.
No, definitely. I think
As much-
competitions within America are important. I mean, I think the companies do see that. And I think especially during our generation, you know, ABS Nationals 2006, 7, 8, 9 were important. And I think that has helped you, Puccio, myself, Daniel, whatnot, really help make our names, you know, help legitify us as professional athletes. But I think that people are seeing competition as way too important than it really is.
Yeah, and I think that they're going to be bummed when they're like, oh, I podiumed here and I podiumed here and I podiumed here. Like, why am I not getting
I mean, well,
thousands of dollars? And it's like, it's,
I mean, if you think about it like this, you know, Chris Sharma, the biggest name in all of climbing, Killian has won countless World Cups. 20 years from now, Chris Sharma's name is still going to be so much more popular than Killian's ever will be. Ever. Even, I mean, today.
Even in
you know?
Europe? Or is it?
Oh,
Even
the
in
whole
Europe.
world. Chris Sharma's name is the highest profile name in all of climbing. And I mean, you know, there will be someone, there will be a new Michael Jordan, whatever.
Alex Honnold's on his way.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
Alex
that's-
Honnold, yeah, but again, outdoor rock climbing.
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah.
Killian is an incredible athlete, has climbed incredible boulders outside, but Chris Sharma has pushed the sport of rock climbing to a new level that people are still trying to achieve today.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see kind of how the youth culture
and maybe
sort of moves
by
along
that
here.
time, like, competitions will be kind of where this, I think if the sport's going to split. And I think for like marketing purposes and pushing to the Olympics and stuff, like that's where competition climbing is going to go. And then there's like the purists or whatever who are going to like keep climbing outdoors. And I think there will be overlap, but I think that there's going to be a big gap between like plastic climbing, competition climbing, and outdoor rock climbing.
Yeah, so that goes great with one of the questions we got, which was kind of the World Cup climbers. Bouldering is kind of more what I pay attention to, but even sport climbing, it feels like almost a separate sport from outdoor climbing, even though
For sure.
some of the climbers have success at both, but it seems like they would have more like success outdoor climbing if that's all they did, whereas indoor climbing is such a specific discipline. Do you think that it's possible for somebody to be the best at both? Here's the question they have is, with the way the reward system is structured in each separate ecosystem, comp climbing, outdoor climbing, will the next generation of climbers be strongly inclined to aim for one or the other, which is kind of what you're driving at, where it seems like they will be. And it seems like they already are with most of the youth climbers. It seems like climbing outside is more like a vacation.
Exactly. And I think that I was just talking to, I think it was Angie about this, how like our generation is like, we are outdoor climbers. We do comps sometimes. And the younger generation, they're comp climbers. They're gym climbers that go on like 2-week outdoor trips. It's just like completely two sides of like a coin. It's crazy. And it is heading in that direction, I think, because it's easier for companies who are trying to buy into the climbing market to see results. Like,
Sure.
you know?
I mean, it's a lot easier to categorize.
Like Adidas, for example, is like
comp climbing.
numbers, results. Like this is really easy to see.
Red Bull
You can put it
too,
on-
yeah.
Exactly. You can put it on paper, and it's like first place at a competition. Like that's a really big deal, and people understand that. Like people who don't climb understand what first place means. Like you can tell whoever that Paul just did a V15, and people are like, I don't know what that means.
What does that
like,
mean? Yeah, and I should,
no, definitely.
and I should clarify just for some of the people watching, most of this we're talking about U.S. climbers because over in Europe there's
Right.
Alex Migos, Adam Ondra. They're both pretty young, like both 20, and they've had obviously amazing success. But in the U.S. it really just hasn't materialized where anybody's kind of finished their comp climbing career when they're 18, 19, and then broken out with some kind of
Yeah, I'm very
World-class
interested to see
success.
if Adam Ondra will ever go back to World Cup climbing again.
I doubt it.
Yeah,
I doubt it.
I mean, it's rock climbing. It's not plastic climbing, and
Yeah.
that's how I perceive it. When I train in the gym, I train in the gym because I think, oh man, I know there's something out there that's going to be next level for me. And when I climb in the gym, it's an easy place to get stronger. And then I think, oh, like next fall or whatever, this fall, I'm going to find something and it's going to be amazing. But it's not, I can't wait for the World Cup,
Yeah, I mean, 'cause you guys have kind of gone the opposite direction. You guys, both of you have gone away from comp climbing.
yeah.
Because
I
you
grew
both
up in
used
the
to
gym.
compete quite a bit. Alex, you've had a great success in the World Cup circuit a couple of years ago.
Great success.
It's been great.
You've won.
Yeah.
Nothing changed.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, logistics aside, for competing on the World Cup is kind of a whole, it's a lot of work for someone from the
God,
U.S.
it's
to,
so much work.
and a lot of money.
It's so expensive.
Yeah. But that aside, nobody from the U.S. basically focuses on it except Alex Puccio.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
it
she's
seems
not
to-
even living in the U.S. right now.
Right. I mean, she basically,
Mm-hmm.
you
Has
can't
moved
live here if you want to do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
too
Yeah, I mean, the
difficult.
setting styles are different.
And it doesn't benefit you to do it. I don't know. Like I didn't benefit from it at all. I went over there and I did it for 2 years and I came home and I was like, I'm still in
Yeah.
the same position I was in when I left.
Oh, I
Nobody
mean,
cared.
definitely. No, I
But
think.
it was a good experience, though, wasn't it?
I
to
learned a lot about
travel and-
myself. Like
yeah.
that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think about highlights in my life, and it like placing on a podium in a World Cup for me definitely would not rank among a highlight. I mean, it was a great time and I was happy, but I go into these competitions and I'm sure all of these kids and all of these other people, we go into the competition, they're nervous and they climb, and if they don't climb well, then they're upset with themselves, and I hate that pressure that I put on myself
Sure.
for that. And I enjoy the pressure that I put on myself when I'm trying to climb a boulder outside, and yeah, I get frustrated and I get angry, but I know that the outcome is going to be like motivational, and it's going to be better than just placing well in the competition, at least for me. And
And it's more for yourself.
Yeah.
I think.
mm-hmm.
So why do you think so many people do the World Cups, youth climbing? Why is it so popular among certain
In Europe,
subsets
it
of
is
the
a
population?
Completely different game.
Just
like
different.
it's so
approach.
different. Like in sponsors in Europe, don't care at all about outdoor rock climbing. From the experience I
Sure.
had when I was over there living with some of the competitors,
Sure.
their sponsors do not care about rock climbing. All they want is World Cups, competitions, podiums, first places. They just want numbers, and it pays over there because they've got big endorsements, big sponsors. They have car companies invested in stuff. A lot of money gets invested
banks
into
sponsor comps over in
into
Europe.
European
Mm-hmm.
climbing, and European climbing, Asian climbing, it's
Yeah.
government funded. So if the way to make a living is by doing comps, and you can make a really good living doing it, that's probably the best
Yeah.
way to do it, especially over there. But here, you're not making a huge living doing either, so pick the one that you like.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, maybe it's like a false preconception almost for parents, for youth, that, oh, if I win this comp, I'm a professional and now I'm going to make money and I'm going to live
Yeah,
a lifestyle, whatever.
I thought that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
The 2008 World Cup, I was like, oh my God, I won. My life is going to change. Boom, my life's going to
Yeah.
change. And nothing changed.
yeah, exactly.
It's
I mean,
okay.
yeah, and it's oh, one person goes out and climbs a V15. That's not life-changing either. I mean, there's so much more to being a professional athlete than just
How well you climb.
Yeah, how well you climb. I
Yeah.
mean, it's, I don't know. I guess I can't really explain it so well, but
And we could
it's
spend hours talking.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's you have to be a part of the community. You have to continually be producing. You have to continually just be a part of this small, amazing community that we're a part of.
Part of you has to be continually in high demand, whether
Mhm.
it's like you're teaching or you're making videos or you're climbing hard boulders. Like part of you has to kind of be like on your game the whole time.
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, someone can go out and repeat
Or your
10 AP pluses
personality
or whatever, and then they're like, well, why am I not sponsored? Why, you know, and you're like, well,
because you're rude.
Yeah, I mean, definitely is just as much about the person, like who you are,
Yeah, for sure.
as
Yeah.
you know, how hard
It
you climb.
almost has
'Cause
more to do with who you are than how hard you climb, I think.
I think, I mean, because tons of people can climb V13, even V14 now. So you have to differentiate yourself in a different way. I
yeah.
think.
And brands,
Exactly.
they like to create, I would say very much so in America, brands like to create a team that is reminiscent of their logo, for, you know, or their way, you
Their
know.
feeling.
Yeah,
their-
exactly. So they sponsor athletes, and they like to, you know, they like to keep those athletes, and they like to create almost like a family oriented thing. And that's what climbing's all about. And that's why it's kind of continued to stay almost this smaller scale sport, is because it's about that family. It's about, you know, being kind, being nice, you know, being a good steward for the environment and all that stuff. And that's what like these parents and these like competition climbers they don't understand that, because they've never, you know, to them it's, I want to win, you know,
Sure.
I want to win this, and there is nothing else surrounding rock climbing. Whereas for me, climbing is a lot about going out and climbing hard, but there's so much more. I mean, it's so much about just like being there, being in the wilderness, being like, you know, being in places that are pristine, being places that really no one has been before.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we're almost
These were good. This is really profound.
deep. All right, we're almost out of time. Let's cover just a couple more quick things. Kind of as you mentioned, Paul, being stewards for the outdoors. What kind of responsibility do you guys feel like you have, or what can you do to help, you know, mitigate some access issues that come up just as more and more people rock climb? Areas that we love to go to become overused, either through like outright neglect, or I think mostly just
Yeah.
people,
Don't
human
be an
nature to
idiot.
not
Yeah.
care for
No,
where people
absolutely.
go.
I mean, you know, just making, you know, making sure that you're just cleaning up. Like, I would never like take tape off my hand and put it on the ground. Like I would be pissed off at myself if I did that. I'd be like, just put it in your bag, like take it out and throw it in the trash can. You know, just simple things like that really makes a difference. Like one person puts tape on the ground, then the next person says, oh, well, whatever, that person put tape on the ground, I'm going to throw my tape on the ground. And that's just, I mean, you know, that's like the common response, and that's what most people are going to say, but it's simple, and it doesn't happen. You go to a climbing area and there's tape everywhere.
What about like as climbing celebrities? Do you guys feel any added pressure to comport yourself in a certain way, or you know, if you make a video and you show you make a video about your new area or something, people are gonna want to go there.
Yeah.
You know, if I make a video about somewhere, people aren't gonna even know the video exists. So, you know, is that something you guys have to be more cognizant of?
Especially if you're in one of the Gorilla Access Fund commercials. Yes.
No
Yeah.
slip ups.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think all of us have had slip-ups in the past, climbing maybe where we shouldn't have been, or whatnot. You know, I mean, everybody's had that. But, yeah, I mean, at least, you know, trying to make it right, you know, trying to be, I don't know, aware of your actions. Because when you are, you know, in the media and, you know, your ascents are going to be known about, trying to, you know, make it so that it's, you know, you're climbing in places that are okay to climb, and you know that if more and more people start coming there, it's okay, and that sort of stuff. So, I mean, you know, like when I go developing an area, I try and make sure that like it's, you know, that their landowner is okay with it, or whatever it may
Sure.
be, you know, because in the future you don't know what's going to come of the area.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
this-
think like being aware. Sorry.
go ahead.
Good. Being aware of like what you're doing kind of at all times. Like you can go and climb something really hard and it's really cool, but if there's other people around and they've heard you like flipping out and like swearing around a bunch of kids, or like someone saw you like throw garbage on the ground, like, yeah, you did this really cool ascent, but like word's gonna get around that you like
Yeah.
like it's a really small community.
Yeah, when people know who you are.
Yeah,
it kind
it's
of.
like, whoa, Alex Johnson did this. And then it's like, yeah, but I was there, and she like littered. It's not cool. Like,
the gorilla's going to be after you.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I know that gorilla.
I know.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with him.
I know too.
All right, let's get you guys out of here on easy question. Let's talk about some of your favorite boulder problems you guys ever done. Starting with, let's see. This is a question somebody submitted here. Favorite boulder problem V0 to V5?
Pork chop, V3,
Where is that?
Red Rock, Nevada.
Mm.
Pork chop.
Pork chop.
Oh, the one. Yeah.
Pork chop.
That is a good one.
So
That is
good.
a really good one. Damn, that's a hard question. Phew. I don't know. Probably just like any of like the classics in font, you know.
Sure.
There's like maybe Mary Rose, the first 6A in the world. It's just incredible to climb on because you feel the history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just, definitely one in font. Probably don't even remember the name, but
Sure. One of 100 and
Yeah.
200. What about V6 to V10? Any favorites in that range?
These are hard
Heart of
questions,
Darkness in Yosemite.
gosh,
V9.
like all of
I
these.
She just climbs good
I-
boulders, Paul.
I
guess
listed
so.
them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
My like 0 to 12. I listed them. Oh my god, Heart of Darkness is so good.
I've never done it.
You should go to
You
Yosemite,
flash
Paul.
it for sure. It's amazing.
I hear it's nice there.
6 to V10. I don't know.
All
I
right.
can't answer that question.
V10 and up. Any favorites?
I'd say I probably have 2.
Okay.
You want to go first?
Maze of Death is good 12.
Nice.
Haroon
Classic.
probably for an 11. Ooh, or
Both-
Stand and
both in
Deliver.
Bishop.
And Stand and
Oh.
Deliver in Red Rocks is
Red
really
Rocks?
good too.
I haven't done that one yet, but I hear it's nice. So like lower end like would be Total Eclipse and Font is like a dream boulder that I was so happy to climb and has been one that like has stood out for a really long time. And then I guess higher end would be, maybe like Spectre in Bishop is maybe the best boulder problem I've ever done in my life.
Mhm.
I could say. And then I like the Metal Arc Lemon thing that I put up a couple years ago. That's one thing that like I just can't get out of my head. It's just like one of the coolest things I've ever climbed.
Yeah, everyone that's done it seems to be pretty psyched about it.
Sandstone, man.
I
Red
know.
Rocks is so good.
I love sandstone.
That's cool. All right. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. Gorilla, sound good?
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
All right.
I just want to thank everybody for watching and kind of joining us on this experiment. And I really appreciated everybody's questions. We got a lot of them. There was no way we were going to get to everybody's
Nice.
questions.
Oh,
I don't
that's
know if
great.
you saw
Well,
that,
thank
Brian,
you.
But like,
Especially with how much Paul talks.
Yeah.
I talk
but,
quickly though.
But I definitely appreciate we definitely appreciate everybody's questions, and it gave us a lot to talk about. And it's like I said at the beginning, if we were going to get to everything within the hour, I was going to be impressed. So I think it went really well.
Your
Yeah.
next guests, you can ask about the kids stuff.
See what they say.
See if that- we'll find a guest who wants to touch that topic.
Yeah, I think
Good
Dave
luck.
will.
All right, Alex and Paul, do you guys have any upcoming things you want to plug, sponsors you want to thank, anything like that?
Guess love to thank Prana, La Sportiva. All my Asana, all my great sponsors for sure, and psyched for the fall. Hopefully, it'll get cold soon.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to Europe.
Nice.
I'm going to Font in November. I'm really excited.
Nice.
And
November, nice. That would
yeah.
be good.
Yeah. And yeah, that definitely wouldn't be possible without like the North Face and Organic and Sportiva.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Well, thanks, Alex and Paul, for coming. For Jordan Shipman, Louder Than 11, it's Brian Reynolds saying see you next time. And thanks to Bo Kaler.
Thanks
for
to Bo
being here.
Kaler for helping us out, and then also want to thank Kyle Bergkumpis for helping us out too. Appreciate those guys. So, all right, signing off.